before Google was the largest web search engine, so he had direct experience. So the venture capitalists were very interested in anything related to search that he was interested in. So that was very important. The next 6 people were all computer science engineers, really talented ones. We took a rough guess at what we needed to scale up the clay balls and stirring rods. We thought we needed a database person on the back end and a great user interface engineer. We turned out to be wrong about the subspecialties, but we were right about the people. They were almost all of them there all the way through the end. They were just spectacularly talented and were able to grow in different positions over time. But most of them were people we had worked with before. So I use the ketchup analogy. You can't get the president of Heinz Ketchup to join you right off the bat. But you can think of other people you've worked with in your lives who you really want to work with again.
Did you pay them initially, or?
So we did. It was very strange in 1999 because it was the dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
Funding was no problem. It's not always that way. So it was strange. So this is where the doubling analogy helps. It kept changing and breaking. It was really hard. You can tie this to your funding strategy. I'll show you how that works. The first thing you need is an alpha. So you take a guess at what the market is, and you build a minimum product that you think addresses it, and somehow find that first customer that's willing to at least try it. From there, things start to change. You learn more about what the product really is. It'll change quite a bit. But once you have that first customer, you can take an attempt at a real market. Then I'd say you go for your beta, and your beta is a customer you're hoping will get results, and a customer who will give a testimony. So in our case, that beta was Tower Records. They no longer exist, but we raised their sales 30%. And they were a good brand, and they were willing to go out and say, we raised their sales 30%. So I'd say you have 1 alpha, maybe 5 betas. It's probably Series A funding is the core engineers who get you to the alpha. Series B, some minimal management structure and sales marketing that could get you to the beta, those 5. To get 5 betas, you probably have to approach 50 companies, and then you're fighting to get a great public reference. So even though we had Tower, we had big companies say to us, I'm doing everything I can to not buy you. I really want a 30% increase in sales, but I think you'll go out of business. I think, I don't trust your infrastructure. And we eventually got Walmart as a customer. And the moment we got them, all of those questions went away. And proving those questions out took up most of our time. Suddenly, they didn't take up all of our time. And then you probably would do another round of funding to build out a big sales force. Go after your market.
Hi, Pete.
Hi.
I'm Shishir. I'm
Hi,
from Pune. And I will ask you 2 questions. Question number 1, lean startup is something which is a buzzword when it comes to tech startups nowadays. And I guess every startup nowadays looks at how they can inculcate that methodology.
Yeah.
So my question number 1, I would want to know your opinion on this methodology, which is quite effective, and I think a lot of Indian tech startups also have started looking at it very seriously.
Yeah.
Question number 1. Question number 2. Did you try to inculcate, or did you try to kind of practice lean startup methodology, or did you try to make it a part of the DNA of your company?
Yeah.
Did you? Yes? No? How did it help? What's your personal experience while building?
So definitely lean lean methodology is fantastic. My experience back in '99, infrastructure was expensive. You know, you needed millions of dollars just to build out your own server farm. There was no cloud, and that required venture financing. If we did it today, we probably could have had the same team working, you know, for minimal pay and sweat equity, and it would have been a very different company. One of the great things it lets you do is choose your own outcome. Once you take venture funding, you know, they need a certain amount of return. Like I said, most of their investments fail, so they need the ones that do succeed to be big successes. And so you get on this treadmill where once you take money, you're taking more money. So we weren't lean in that we had to buy hardware, but that's a cost out. You're so lucky now that that cost is gone. But we were lean in every other way. And you know, we're frugal in every possible way. Once we had a lot of funding, we stayed that way because it creates part of your culture. You hear about Silicon Valley and companies have free lunches and massages, and we never did all of that because you know, it's money you could be paying people and reinvesting in the business, and you wanted to set a culture that you're there to build something, not to get a massage, you know. And so anyway, that culture word is very important. It's about what the character is of the company and who you recruit.
Is it means I don't know why it's a major problem. Many people have the concept, but they don't know the implementation of that concept.
Yeah.
So what to do in such a condition, or can it be possible to implement or to build a company or a institution with that concept only?
I would go back to the discussion of the alpha customer. I don't think a concept is real until there's your first customer. There's so many strange requirements. When I talked to a lot of you today, I probably asked some questions that seemed annoying. And they were all a common question. You don't know this because you were in different groups. But it was about linkages. It was about where your solution ends and other parts of the ecosystem begin. And weird things happen there. And in most cases, the customer happens there. And you start to learn some unexpected features you need that might change your entire architecture. So I would say, we called it agile methodology. It's probably the same here, but you want to release quickly, you know, keep having new releases because you don't know exactly where it is you're heading. Just get to the next spot and see what the customers need.
Thank you.
A team, they're working on a project. And so I was wondering if you have any thoughts, you know, as people are considering the project they're working on, or maybe even projects they're collaborating with, how does a person know, you know, is this the project? Because you said, you know, everyone has things that they're working on. And the question that other people are going to be asking is, okay, who's being pulled into this team?
Yeah.
And what else they could be doing? How are they choosing this topic as the one they want to work on going forward? And I think, again, it's relevant in this context of hackathon because, you know, prior to 2 or 3 days ago, you know, there was preparation coming into it, but the ideas weren't really yet realized. And now, you know, getting close now to the 72 hours later, ideas are on the table, and I think each person is looking at them thinking, okay, so is this something that I want to commit time to going forward?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could maybe offer some thoughts. How does a person look at this opportunity and evaluate for themselves, you know, when do I know, is this the one that I feel I want to make that commitment to? Then when I approach people, I'll be able to communicate that level of commitment to other clusters.
Your days, right? You know, and this is just the hackathon, but eventually it's your career and your most precious thing is your time. So how do you want to spend it? So what do you choose? Well, some people really care about a certain topic. Like they love ball bearings, and to be able to work on a ball bearing, they don't care if they have to commute 3 hours each way. They're working in the same spot. So that's in the U.S. That's a lot of people who go to Hollywood. They'll take very, very little pay, but they want to be working on a movie. Then you have people who could care less, right? They say, I don't care at all about ball bearings. It could be, tablecloths instead. But I love the team, right? And I want to work on hard problems, and I want to work with the best engineers I can possibly find. Other people want to change the world. So in DECA, we started, like I said, we finished with about 500 customers. Well, the opportunity to get a feature onto 100,000 customers from 500 means you're changing the world. So that's very exciting to a lot of people. But ultimately, I would say what's most important is that there's good social dynamics on a team. There's this rule of thumb in hiring. People say if people have a bad personality and they're not a good performer, that's very easy. Fire them, right? And if people have a great personality and they work really well, promote them. And the tantalizing one is when someone is an incredibly great performer, but they have a really destructive personality. And usually they're kept on for a long time. And there's some schools of thought in management which would say, those are the people you should fire first. And so it's the same thing with the team. Make sure you're on a team that's not toxic, that you love, going to your team every day or going to your job every day. I mean, like I said, it doesn't mean you're getting free lunch and massages, but that you're working on a problem you love.
Thanks for that. At the end of 3rd or 4th year, one is job, second is entrepreneurship, and now 3rd is social entrepreneurship.
Social entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So, I told you the odds. It's wildly unlikely. You might as well buy a lottery ticket. If you want to make money, join Microsoft or join financial services. So don't join it for that reason. One is you hate your boss, and so you think, well, I'll call my own shot. What you'll find out is, what do you do when you hate your boss and you are your boss? Meaning that you'll be harder on yourself than anyone else ever will be. You won't sleep for the first 4 years because there's always something else you can do. And the third is because you love just the fun of it, the thrill of it. And so that's the right reason to join a startup. And I would say social entrepreneurship is the exact same thing.
Being a startup, small, I would say, is it really necessary you should be distinguished between the big players or a startup, or you could join the journey of others, get up to the level where you can really be confident of taking it big. So what sort of strategy would be the ideal way to go there?
So this is tantalizing. There are times in the startup, even 12 years in, where I could come up with plausible scenarios that the startup still fails. So it's scary, and you might not have a plan B. So there's a lot to be said for joining a big, fun to work for company and sleeping well at night. And I would never second guess someone for going that route. But I think the jet lag is getting me. I can't remember what I was going to say. Repeat the question.
Yeah. The question was.
I think a great reason to join a startup is that it's probably going to fail. and you're going to learn the most of your entire life when it fails. So everyone in this room got here because you're incredibly successful. There's this selection bias that got you here. You probably have straight A's or a really great work ethic. You got here by succeeding, succeeding, succeeding. But almost everything important you'll learn in life is when you failed. And so we saw a lot of people who came out of top quality programs, and they went to a big successful company and a big successful business school, and then they came and were in horrible shape because they didn't, they hadn't learned all those hard lessons. So if you join a startup and you fail and it's worth zero, you've actually gotten a great education. Thank you.
So Pete, thank you for that awesome description and for bringing really into context many of the things and for spending the time today. I know I was speaking with many teams who really valued, and Pete will be here, so if you have more questions, I know there are some, this will be a good time informally to ask. And it's just really wonderful that you came, just arrived today and had a very full day. And so if we could just have a round of thanks. Again, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. So say, we are all